Sudan's fragile peace process is under renewed strain after the country's main opposition faction called on its forces to advance on the capital, Juba, following the capture of a strategic town in Jonglei State. Now, the United Nations and Western diplomats have warned that the escalating violence risks plunging the country back into full-scale conflict. Now, to help us understand what this means on the ground, we're now joined by South Sudanese civil society activist and human rights advocate Bol Deng Bol, representing the Jonglei Civil Society Network. Thank you very, very much indeed for joining us, and welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Perhaps you can start by giving us an indication what you think the recent call by the SPLA-IO for its forces to advance on Juba actually mean on the ground for areas like yours in Jonglei?
Well, that actually means a full-scale war. It means the country is going back to the conflict of 2013, what we saw in 2013, 2016, where there was an all-out violence all across the country. Because advancing to Juba, it means you have to go through other states' capital. You have to overrun capital, and this is where civilians are. Civilians are everywhere, and that of course means devastation of civilian settlements, their livelihoods. Displacement. As we stand, we have so many displacements across the country. We have internally displaced persons, IDPs, and so this means the situation will be worsened, and lives of South Sudanese will be at stake. And this call came, as a result of the ongoing court case, against the leader of the SPLA, SPLM-IO, party or movement, and that is first Vice President Dr. Riek Machar Teng, who was stripped from his powers and now under detention by the President of the Republic, with other members of the movement or the party. And so they say this is a sham process, and we want to go and free our leader. And so this is why they call for all their forces all across the country, wherever they are, to all move towards the direction of Juba. And we have seen how they are insisting on, Pajut, remaining in Pajut. Shared, the northern and the southern part is being shared by SSPDF with the SPLA IO forces. So they are insisting there. The military is building up, on those areas, and maybe in few hours time or in few days time, we will see another confrontation, which is deadly, of course, as usual.
So where does this leave the 2018 peace agreement? I mean, is it completely unraveling, or do you think there's still space for political dialogue?
Yes, I think.
Hello, are you there? Can you hear me? All right, it looks as if
I think so.
we may have lost Bol Deng Bol. Hello, Bol?
Oh, sorry.
We can hear you now.
Sorry for the... Yes. Well, I know very well and believe that it's still dialogue can happen in the situation we are in now. The SPLA-IO, the SPLM as a party or movement, and the SSPDF, they can still dialogue and go back to the 2018 peace agreement. This we have seen in the past. We have seen in 2015 when the agreement on the resolution of conflict in South Sudan, when it, immediately after formation, in few months' time, it collapsed. And then we saw the 2016 violence, taking shape. And again, they had to come back in 2018. They had to go back to the same agreement and revitalize it. And thus, the name of the revitalized agreement on the resolution of conflict in South Sudan, the RX. And so I still believe they can still go back to the same RXs. This is a mechanism. This is the best agreement that has ever happened in the history of the conflict, in the recent South Sudan that we have. There's no alternative for us to move out of violence and transition to democracy except through this RXs. As civil society, we have emphasized that. We have called for them to come back to the table. The international community have persistently been on the same call, asking the then peace partner, now turned warring parties, to come back to the table and be peace partners again. There is a chance. Diplomacy can still work in situations like this. And so the question is there political will? Do we need, as South Sudanese, as the government, as the people, do we need to handle our issues in a violent way, in a non-violent way? If so, and then there is a room, there is always a room. The mediators are there, including the international community. They want to facilitate that. They want to see that South Sudan is back on track. As a person individually, I know that our country, it is a hard-earned country. It is a country that South Sudanese sacrificed so much, including the region and the international community. They have sacrificed also a lot, so that South Sudan becomes South Sudan as it is now. And most of that part of sacrifice was through the battle of a gun as South Sudanese. And so for us now having a country, we want to build it. We want to transition to democracy. We want to make it a country for all, But then we cannot do that. We cannot do the development and the transition to democracy through use of a barrel of a gun, through the same means, in which we got the country. So that's why it is very important for us to go back to dialogue and look at the civilians as we speak. The civilians are being, displaced by the conflict that is there. We have many of them, thousands of them within the country in IDP camps, instead of,
right.
maximizing the situation of an environment that would allow them to go back to their homes. We are worsening it. And now people are moving all around Jonglei State. Others are living to Juba, others to different, directions. And panic is all around.
Bol, we're going to have to leave it there. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but thank you so much indeed for giving us a clear idea of how serious the situation is and what needs to be done to help the many people in South Sudan caught in the middle of this conflict. That was Bol Deng Bol, Jonglei Civil Society Network, who has direct insight from one of the most affected areas in recent fighting in South Sudan. It's 7:30.